Good morning, or good afternoon, or whatever time of day this is for you. I'm Chip Weisel, and I'm the new interim president of the Lake Township Chamber of Commerce. And given that I'm coming on as this in this role at the start of 2021 with the recent resignation of our former president, we thought it'd be a good time to give you, our members, a state of the chamber address, kind of reviewing what we've been through this last year, both as a chamber and you locally as a local business owner, and also to help tell you some of the things we have planned for this year to make a restart on some things that we think we can do better. So first of all, just a reminder, Lake Township Chamber of Commerce formed in 1988, and originally in our constitution and charter, the purpose of the Lake Township Chamber is to create a positive environment to promote the success and growth of businesses while reflecting the values of this community. And we've done that, I think, successfully over the last 30 some years as a business owner in Hartville. I've owned and operated a chiropractic practice and have really enjoyed my participation in the chamber. I think the chamber has done a great job for some retail things, some service things, a great way to stay connected in the community. But you know as well as I that what happened to both your business and mine in our country and the world and this Chamber of Commerce was coronavirus last year. It happened to all of us. And I remind you that it happened to the chamber because in a lot of ways, coronavirus is not a fair thing. It happens differently to different people. And I use this analogy when I talk to patients and or colleagues that the unique effect of COVID, both on physicality, is that it's like a windstorm going through Northeast Ohio. When a windstorm goes through Ohio, it's usually not strong enough to tear down all the trees, but any tree that happens to be weak for another reason is likely to be vulnerable in that windstorm. Same thing has happened with businesses, that the businesses that were strong and had deep roots and could sustain the storm have weathered pretty well. Some businesses have actually thrived in this climate, while other businesses, if they're weak for any other reason, have had real trouble, and some haven't made it. And as a township, I want to remind you, because we are a township commerce, chamber of commerce, as opposed to like a Canton City or a Greater Akron, we're a smaller chamber, more vulnerable in that we have a very small staff. We have one paid staff person up until this year, and we only have 200 some businesses that are part of our chamber, as opposed to a Canton chamber that has 2,000 plus, Akron chamber over 3,000. So being a smaller, more vulnerable chamber, we were exposed, or maybe put it this way, COVID kind of exposed some of our weaknesses as a chamber as well. Most of our revenue comes from members and membership dues in particular. And what that means is that for you and I, if we were having a rough time last year and or weren't able to pay our dues, maybe let alone our utility bills or our staff, chamber membership was one of the things we just had to put on hold or not think about. But that's not the only thing that went on last year. There were other things that some of you did very well. So what I thought I'd do as my first sort of address to give you an idea of where we're at as a chamber and where I think we can head and what focus on in the future is what you may know as, and I know as, a SWOT analysis. Now, if you've sat through any of these, I don't mean that in any way if you're in a SWOT analysis business, but these are sometimes frustrating when you sit with a large group of people and you hear everybody's opinion. It helps. And sometimes they get bogged down. You walk away going, what did we just hear? And what does that mean? But I'm going to do it from my perspective as a business owner in Hartville for the last 30 some years, and as being very involved in the chamber, what I see as our chamber's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as we go into this next year. So first of all, let me talk about the strengths. One of the biggest strengths that I see this chamber has is our marketing and tourism division. This came out under the era of Krista Cozy, who was a longtime chamber president for over 10 years. She, in conjunction with Allison Bussey, a former chair of the chamber, Megan Wise, and Teresa Fedorchak, and several others as well, helped to launch the tourism division of our chamber. And it is one of our shining stars. Part of this was to take advantage of and also help complement the tourism hotspot that happens in Lake Township, and that is the Hartville Marketplace, Hartville Hardware, and Hartville Kitchen. That complex draws more visitors, north of 1 to 2 million visitors a year before COVID, which is way more than any other tourism attraction in Stark County. And we have that right here in Lake Township, and it's such an opportunity. Discover Hartville was started to help take advantage of that in a sense of helping other businesses surrounding that area thrive because of it, but also helping complement what people want to find when they come to Hartville. And it's been a good success for all businesses in that region who benefit from tourism and marketing. So it's a real strength of our chamber. The other area that our chamber does very well in is two major award, or well, not major award, one major award, but two major events. One is the Lake Chamber Awards, which is last year in February was the last time we held this. We had to postpone this for this year because of coronavirus, but this is looked forward to by chamber members and community members alike. It's a way where we both honor people in our community who've received recognition for their professional advances through the year and or their nonprofit work, et cetera. But it's also a great networking event that our chamber members look forward to. And it's, for some of us, it was the last large event we attended in 2020. The other major event that the chamber has historically done is the One Bite, which is a food tasting event that my staff and I look forward to every year, mainly because it's a great excuse to go eat, but also it showcases some of our restaurants, which, by the way, have been the hardest hit in this COVID economy. And also something we had to cancel last year as a result of the coronavirus. So these two events are along with a golf outing that we restarted a year or two ago, are some of the things that I think are a strong point of our chamber. They allow for networking opportunities and they allow for good exposure. Another unique thing about our chamber that I think we've done very well at is it has taken on a role of almost being the networking area for some of our local charities. Our chamber has a very service-minded focus. And I know this is a generic photo. Maybe this will help you make it a little more personal. This shows Seth Morana, who's currently the vice chair of the chamber board, and also Dr. Lauren Minarski, who works at Hartville Health and Wellness Center, two of our younger business professionals who not only network with the chamber, but have also taken those connections and also care about our community and have worked with local organizations like Fish and Love Our Community and or Gentlebrook in helping serve in those areas. And our chamber has served as a way to expose some of those nonprofits and work together collaboratively with the chamber to help for the betterment of our community. I've mentioned networking a lot. I think that's part of why I have really enjoyed being involved in the chamber as a service professional. I may not benefit personally from some of the marketing tourism things, but I have definitely benefited from the referrals and the networking that the chamber provides. And there's several formats that we do this in, but this really is one of the areas where you can get together with local business owners, commiserate and or share some of the things that are working well for you. We've offered several good opportunities for that. The regular one that you might be familiar with is Morning Connections. That's the first and third Wednesday of every month. While we did have to suspend meeting in person for a short time last year, we offered them on Zoom, and now since October or so, we've been offering them in person as well in a hybrid format on the first and third Wednesdays. But networking has been a strong thing. It's one of the main reasons I've stayed interested in being involved in the chamber as a member. The other thing that I think our chamber does really well is information. We're a small town. Hartville, Uniontown, and Greentown make up Lake Township villages, but the only actual incorporated village is Hartville. And so when people come to our area, we don't have a visitors and convention bureau that you can call. We don't have something like a tourism bureau. You have to basically call the Chamber of Commerce. And our Chamber of Commerce has, knowing this now after serving in this role now for a few weeks, we answer questions for everything ranging from who owns Lake Commons apartments to what scholarships might be available through businesses who are in Lake Township to where do I find out where whoever hit my mailbox can get that repaired. Now, some of these questions aren't really part of the chamber, but we end up being a source or a composite place that people feel comfortable calling and or emailing to find out what we can help them with. And Krista Cozy, I think, started this and made it almost such a role that I've had to already call her to find out places and information that I need to know, but people expect us to know. And I think we've done a good job, all things considered, of being a resource of information for our members and for the community at large. Now, moving on to weaknesses. I mentioned we're a small chamber and comparatively, and smaller chambers sometimes can't offer some of the benefits of larger chambers. We can't offer benefits that historically have been for other chambers, like, let's say, well, let me take that back. We do offer benefits. Healthcare cost benefits, for instance. We have two ways we've worked cooperatively with local regional chambers. We work cooperatively with the Canton Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we offer the same CareWorks workers' comp program that the Canton Chamber regional members take advantage of. The difference is you don't have to belong to the Canton Chamber. You can take advantage of this CareWorks program to save on your workers' comp premium as an employer, simply with your membership as a Lake Township member. The other area that we offer is SummaCare Health Plan. We signed an agreement with the Akron Regional Chamber in 2020, but because of COVID, we didn't do a great job of kind of spreading the word on this, but you can enjoy the same benefit you would enjoy for healthcare savings from SummaCare through the Akron Chamber simply by being a member of the Lake Township Chamber through a cooperative agreement that we have with them. So our members can take advantage of savings both on their healthcare premiums and on their workers' comp premiums. And those are some of the things. I think the weakness we've had is we just haven't been very good at communicating to our members those types of benefits. And so some of you maybe belong to multiple chambers because thinking you have to take advantage of that. One of the things we want to strengthen is taking the opportunity to make sure you, our members, know that you can get those healthcare benefits and work comp savings benefits. The opportunity I see coming into this role is also, now that we're part of the Akron Chamber, Canton Chamber offers a healthcare benefit through AltCare. So one of the things we're going to leverage is, now that we have an agreement with Akron, we're also going to approach the Canton Chamber and see if we can have a better relationship with them and offer our members the best of both worlds, AltCare and or SummaCare healthcare savings, as well as the savings on the CareWorks. As I mentioned, one of the strengths, I think, of our chamber is networking, but one of the weaknesses is we sometimes don't have the opportunity to get some of the speakers that larger chambers do, which is why the other week, one of the things we emailed out to you, our members, was a program through the Greater Akron Chamber where they brought in Congressman Anthony Gonzalez, who is your representative for some of you, along with a rep from the U.S. Small Business Administration, to cover some of the updates on the federal relief program. We felt that by taking advantage of that and piggybacking, we could give our members the best, again, of both worlds. The other thing is, some of you may have taken advantage of that this week. Hopefully, we sent an email out about this, but yesterday, the Canton Chamber also gave a SBA webinar on COVID relief programs because of some of the changes. So we're hoping to take some of those opportunities as a smaller chamber sitting between two regional chambers to offer, make sure you, our members, have the same advantages by collaborating with these regional chambers. One of the things too, though, is we have some great local talent. And here's where I think a smaller chamber shines. We took 3 of our members who are involved with our chamber, Megan Wise, who runs our Discover Hartville page. We had Carl Witt, who's with Argent Web Design, and Teresa Fedorchak, who all gave a panel presentation a few weeks ago at Morning Connections about some of the changes that are happening even in social media and ways we can help each other as small businesses. One of the things they recommended as we sat in that meeting that day was that we should, in this era of COVID and businesses suffering, start doing reviews and checking in and doing things and visit local businesses. Carl mentioned, for instance, that Google now allows you to do pictures on reviews. Well, I didn't know that. I hadn't done that for quite some time because I've reviewed the businesses in Hartville that I've wanted to review already. But when he mentioned that, I went in and we were sitting at Front Porch with our Morning Connections. I took a picture of my French press, which, by the way, is awesome at Front Porch, and gave a review because Front Porch is under new ownership. And so my previous review wasn't there anymore. And this review, by just simply taking that picture, giving it a review, saying a few words, you can see on the screen, that picture in the last 2 weeks, Google sent me an update, has 4,005 views and 2,528 people saw that review. Just from a simple thing I did as a happy customer sitting at Front Porch, it's a way you and I can help local businesses. But also, that Morning Connections was so interactive. We had about 15 people between online and in person, and you get much more personal kind of content that way with a smaller chamber. So we're going to make sure we take those opportunities to use our members to do those types of things so that you can have the resources you need as well. The other thing we're going to do is, with our networking being one of the areas we can be supportive, both of our local restaurants and businesses, but also for our members and feeling connected again, is we're starting a brand new Lunch Connections networking each week on Tuesday at the Hartville Kitchen at noon through the month of February and March. As a pilot, we're going to be meeting. It's an informal gathering. You simply show up, you'll order as you arrive, you can leave when you need or want to leave, bring your business cards. It's about talking to other colleagues about business and things that come up. You, if you're like me, have felt sort of isolated in this way in the last year, because some of those lunches weren't assumed when restaurants were closed and whatnot. But we feel this is going to be a two-pronged approach of feeling more connected as a business owner through other businesses, and number two, supporting our local restaurants. Restaurants have been the hardest hit, and we really want to do our part to both help our members feel reconnected and and support our local restaurants. So we are going to be doing Hartville Kitchen Lunch Connections networking each Tuesday at noon. Please join us. We had a great kickoff one this last Tuesday. I learned some things about social media. I learned some things about Google phone numbers. I learned some things about various insurance things simply by sitting and talking to colleagues from cross-section of different businesses. It was very enjoyable, and we're hosting that every Tuesday at noon. The other thing is that I mentioned this at the last annual dinner, Lake Chamber Awards, but that is, we are, through the Lake Township, we have formed a progress partnership, which is made up of the Village of Hartville representatives, both the mayor and Jeff Cozy, who sits on the Commerce Department, the representative from the Lake Township trustees through John Arnold, who's the current president, and Matt Erb, who's the current fiscal officer, as well as Sophie Troyer, who works at the township offices, combined with some representatives from Stark Economic Development Board and also representatives from the Hartville Lake Community Development Association. And these entities are going to work together under the cooperation of the Lake Township representing to help us be more economically focused on strategic growth in Hartville. You may have heard of the West Maple Improvement Project that started. The Lake Township Chamber of Commerce is going to help shepherd that project as we take it further. And hopefully now, with having all these people in the room, the Lake Township is going to do a better job of being the liaison, both for you as businesses to these elected officials, but also from these elected officials to local businesses, because those are entities that sometimes only encounter each other during times of starting a new business or with tax things and whatnot. But the communication there, we're going to work better and be better at being a liaison and help move Lake Township forward in a way that's beneficial for all. Speaking of that West Maple Improvement Project, we're right in the middle of that, and hopefully now, as we're getting towards what's called the rendering phase, we're going to be starting in Area 2, which is the neighborhood center around Hartville Center and Edison Park Shopping Center. We're looking at ways to plan ahead for the future to improve the character of the area, connect some of the amenities and destinations, also ways to attract more visitors to this area, because while that area is used by the neighborhood, not many people from outside the area use this central part around Hartville Center and Edison Park. So we want to find ways to make it more connected, ways that you can be more bike friendly, more pedestrian friendly, aesthetically more pleasing, things that will really, we think, help shape the future of Hartville for the near future and for the future to come. And now the threats. As a member of the chamber and as a person who's been involved with the chamber, both with Morning Connections and hosting that and the MC at the Chamber Awards, one of the biggest threats I see is what's coincidentally happened in the last 3 years. We've been through 3 different presidents. Krista Cozy left to go work with the Hartville Kitchen and doing their marketing and tourism. She's done a fantastic job there, and she left quite a legacy here. Her shoes have been hard to fill. And we brought in Erin Sakaris. You remember her from being president for the 2 years. Erin runs a business, Erin's Euphoria Hair Shop, and had done this job part-time as well. She did a great job with kind of facelifting some of our events, making them a little more snazzy, if you will. And I appreciated working with her, but understood with the way her business was, she had to step down a year ago. We then hired Curtis Smith, and he recently left in December and relocated to Florida. So all of that transition change has really been a weakness for us. Now, fortunately, with our board, we've had some continuity. And what I mean by that is, technically speaking, it's this board that has run this chamber this last year, year and a half. And I can't say enough about the continuity. People like Krista Domer, who represents HRM Enterprises, has done a good job of being a guiding force through this. But also people like Annette Mignano, who's the longest serving board member. She has worked or served as chair at least once, maybe twice. She served as treasurer. She's worked locally at several banks, PNC, Consumers, and now most recently in Huntington. And even though she doesn't currently work in Hartville, still has a heart for Hartville with all the time and effort and energy and just love for the community. And people like her, people like Teresa Fedorchak, who has stepped up and done a lot of our marketing and membership coordination in this last few months, especially, have done such a great job with Discover Hartville. And the board, some boards are active and some boards are passive. This board with the continuity, and I would also mention Jana Weaver, who's a long-standing board member, who's works with Chase Bank and does a great job of just, again, providing some continuity through these times when we've been through some presidential changes. I also want to mention Matt Erb, who currently, like I said, was a fiscal officer with Lake. His real job, day job, is with Lake Realty, but fiscal officer for Lake Township, served as chair for several years, did a great job helping transition to our new website and providing some leadership and changing the role here with the president. And also Seth Morana, I mentioned him earlier. He's currently the vice chair. He works with Ramsburg. A real good example of a young professional who's interested in giving back to his community through civic organizations like the Chamber, and is really interested, involved, and engaged as a board member. And Phil Stauffer, who's currently the secretary. He runs the Hartville Thrift Shop. And again, I served with Phil on a board at Lake Center Christian about 15 years ago. Phil and I go way back in that respect, but also just being local business owners in the community. Good, steady hands through these times have helped. And then our newer board members, who you may or may not know, Joanne Miller, who owns with her husband Peace Love and Little Donuts shops in Hartville and the Hartville Marketplace in Kent, but they also have a construction company, Miller Design, and Jeff Bright, who's a newer board member working with Lake Local Schools. Also Seth Koblentz with Hartville Marketplace, and a newer board member you may or may not recognize, Ren Camacho, who's the CEO at Canton Akron Airport. Curtis Smith, one of the best things he did, in my view, while he was here was convince Ren, who lives in Lake Township, to join our board. The resources Ren has are really going to be helpful in some of our economic development hopes, and his expertise coming from outside the area and yet appreciating the areas is a strength we have that we want to take advantage of. So just in kind of closing, I want to say this. I told you our what at the beginning, that we're here to support business, but I want to help you understand the why, because I think it really matters to the why. And the reason I'm involved with the Chamber, even before being president, is because I think when businesses succeed, it's better for our community as a whole. A community that has blight and empty buildings and shops is not a thriving community. And while people make a community, so do thriving businesses. So to the degree that we can keep our businesses strong, it helps everybody. So if you have had a rough year yourself, and or if you can relate to the Chamber having a rough year, we want to ask you to bear with us as we do a restart, because we feel coming into 2021, we can do our what and our why better. And we are basically restarting in 2021. And what we need from you is if you've been out there kind of on your own and felt on your own, we're here. And we're going to be more of a physically present and also digitally present with better communications, email-wise, better communications through our social media, and better communications through our networking and addresses like this to keep you informed to the degree you want to be informed. We want to be that business partner for you. We want to be that other pair of eyes for you, that other pair of a resource where you can go for asking questions, a salesperson for you, your business in your area, or if you need help expediting something that you're stuck with a government agency, take advantage of what we can offer you in those, because moving everybody in the same direction is much better for all of us if we're all working at this together. Along that line, I want to just formalize what technically has informally happened through the last year. Some of you have not been able to pay your dues, and we've been very gracious because we know that what it's been like. we also know that things haven't turned around totally for all of you yet. So while your dues may have been lapsed last year, we're charging no penalty for re-upping, and we're extending dues relief through March of this year as we go through. If you are having trouble pay dues, but you still need and want to be part of the chamber, please contact us and we can work something out one way or the other. And if you haven't paid dues, we'll be happy to, and we'll be calling. I'm hiring a new administrative assistant to help with some of these things. We'll be calling and working with you to help you come back in and hopefully just be there as a resource for you, because bottom line, we want to be able to help you as a business. And if we don't know what you're having trouble with, we don't know how we can help. But sometimes you as a member don't know what we can help with until you ask if we can. And I assure you, if we can't help, I can think that most likely we'll be able to help you find the help you need, even if we can't do it ourselves. So thank you for listening to this address, and I look forward to truly being a resource and supporting all of you through this next year as we transition and restart. Let me know if there's anything I can do. Again, I'm Chip Weisel, new interim president, and proud and happy to be a member of the Lake Township Chamber of Commerce.